An inspirational speech, there's a question that doesn't get asked nearly enough. Not in classrooms, not in boardrooms, not even in the quiet corners of our own minds. Why not you? It's easy to look at greatness and assume it belongs to someone else. We see the leaders on magazine covers, the innovators on stages, the athletes breaking records, and we believe they were destined, chosen, marked by some stroke of divine fortune. We're too quick to accept the lie that those people were born with something we don't have, that they started with something more, that their journey was always meant to lead to something remarkable. But here's the truth: they aren't different from you, at least not in the way you think. They weren't born knowing all the answers. They weren't born brave. They weren't born with a map or a guarantee. What they were born with, what you were born with, is potential. Raw, unshaped, often underestimated potential. And at some point in their lives, they dared to ask a question. Why not me? That's the shift. That's the moment everything begins to change. The stories we tell ourselves, most of us have been conditioned to play it safe, to follow the rules, to color inside the lines. We're taught that stability is the ultimate goal. Get the degree, find the job, keep your head down, be reasonable, be realistic. Don't dream too big or reach too far. We're warned against risk. We're told that rejection hurts, that failure stings. We're taught that we're only worthy when others say we are. And so we build a cage around ourselves, not with bars but with stories. I'm not smart enough. I'm not ready. I'm not qualified. I'm too old. I'm too young. It's already been done. These aren't truths. These are just fears wearing the mask of reason. What if you challenged those stories? What if, instead of assuming greatness belongs to someone else, you asked, why not me? Why not you who dares to dream? Why not you who feels the call to lead? Why not you who's willing to try, to stumble, and to rise again? Why not you? The people who change the world, look back through history, and you'll find something extraordinary. The people who changed the world didn't wait for permission. They didn't ask if they were qualified. They didn't check to see if someone else had already done it better. They stepped forward, flawed, imperfect, and sometimes afraid, and did it anyway. Not because they were certain, but because they were willing to try, willing to fail, willing to be misunderstood, willing to grow. They believed in something larger than comfort. They believed in the possibility that their life could mean something. They believed their voice mattered, their effort counted, their dreams were valid, and here's the uncomfortable truth. The only real difference between them and you is that they believed they could. So again, I ask, why not you? Leadership is a choice. Leadership is not about titles or corner offices. It's not reserved for CEO or founders or people with the loudest voices in the room. Leadership is about service, about responsibility. It's about seeing a problem and saying, I will not wait for someone else to solve this. Leadership is the courage to go first, to speak when silence is easier, to build when the blueprint doesn't exist, to show up day after day, not because it's easy, but because it matters. You don't need more credentials to lead. You need conviction. You don't need a master plan. You need a mission worth following. So many people are waiting for someone else to go first. What if that someone is you? Your voice, your impact. You don't need to change the whole world to make a difference. But you do need to believe that the world changes when you do. When you choose courage over comfort, when you choose action over fear, when you choose to speak, when staying silent is safer, you send ripples. Someone is watching you and wondering if they too can rise. Someone is hoping to see proof that it's possible. You are someone's evidence, and if you never step up, if you keep believing the story that this is not for you, then they may never believe it's for them either. This isn't just about your dream. It's about the ones you'll inspire along the way. The road ahead, let's be honest, the road ahead is not easy. You'll face resistance, doubt, maybe even failure. People will question you. Some will walk away, some will cheer only when it's safe, but the journey of significance is never paved with comfort. It's built with purpose, and you have that purpose. You feel it in your gut, you hear it in the quiet. You sense it when you see something wrong and think, someone should do something, that someone might be you. The world doesn't need more critics. It needs more builders, more initiators, more people who say, I don't know exactly how, but I'm willing to start. And if not you, then who? Final thoughts. So today, ask the question that too few are brave enough to ask. Why not me? And don't stop there. Make it your mantra. Make it your guide. Make it the question that drowns out the noise, the doubt, the fear. Why not you who starts the business? Why not you who writes the book? Why not you who lifts others when you're still learning to rise? Why not you who stands for something when it's easier to blend in? Why not you? The answer is simple. There's no reason it can't be you. No reason. Except the ones you choose to believe, and that choice is yours today, right now. One of the most damaging beliefs we carry, often without even realizing it, is the idea that greatness is reserved for the special people, the gifted, the brilliant, the naturally confident, the ones born into the right families or the right networks or the right moment in history. We see successful people and assume they had something we don't. We imagine their path was clearer, their doubts fewer, their confidence higher. And because we see them standing in the light, we forget that they too started in the dark. But here's the truth: no one is born great. What separates those who achieve extraordinary things from those who don't isn't genetics, luck, or fate. It's the simple, radical decision to try, to take a first step without knowing exactly where it will lead, to believe even for a moment that maybe, just maybe, it could be them. The people you admire most weren't certain when they began. They weren't fearless. They didn't have a blueprint or a guarantee of success. What they had was the courage to act in the face of uncertainty. They asked themselves a powerful question: why not me? That single question can change the trajectory of a life. It forces you to challenge your assumptions, to confront the false stories you've been telling yourself. Stories like "I'm not ready," "I'm not smart enough," "it's already been done," or "people like me don't do things like that." But those are just fears disguised as logic. They are not the truth. The truth is, every great innovator, leader, artist, athlete, and change maker once stood where you are, full of questions, short on answers, and yet they began, they dared, they decided. Greatness is not handed out like a trophy to a select few. It is built, one decision, one action, one failure, and one lesson at a time. It is accessible to anyone who is willing to show up and do the work. Anyone who is willing to bet on themselves even when the odds look uncertain, and that includes you. If you've ever felt the call to do more, to create, to lead, to serve, listen to it. That voice inside you isn't naive or foolish. It's the same voice that once spoke to every person who ever did something meaningful. It's the beginning of your story. So instead of asking why someone else got the opportunity, the promotion, the spotlight, ask yourself, why not me? Because there is no reason it can't be you. And the moment you start believing that, everything begins to change. When people hear the word leader, they often think of CEO, politicians, managers, or people standing on stages giving speeches. We've been conditioned to associate leadership with position, power, and hierarchy, as if it's something only a select few are granted once they've climbed to the top. But real leadership has nothing to do with titles. Leadership is a mindset, it's a choice, and it's available to anyone, at any time. You don't become a leader because someone gives you a title. You become a leader the moment you decide to take responsibility for something bigger than yourself. The moment you see a gap and step into it. Not because it's easy, not because you have all the answers, but because you care enough to try. Leadership is not about having all the solutions. It's about having the courage to start asking the right questions. It's about showing up when it would be easier to stay silent. About making decisions rooted in values rather than popularity. About putting others first, even when no one is watching. It's about doing the hard, unglamorous work, not for recognition, but for impact. You see, titles can be given, but leadership must be earned. There are people with executive positions who aren't true leaders. They manage tasks but don't inspire. They direct but don't develop. They expect loyalty but don't earn trust. On the other hand, there are people without formal authority, teachers, parents, teammates, volunteers, who lead every single day by how they live, serve, and show up for others. Leadership is about influence, not instruction. It's not about being in charge, it's about taking care of those in your charge, and anyone can choose to lead, When you decide to speak up for someone who can't, you're leading. When you take responsibility for solving a problem no one else is addressing, you're leading. When you set the tone for how people are treated, even if you're not the boss, you're leading. And here's the beautiful part. Leadership isn't something you wait for. It's something you step into. So many people are waiting for more confidence, waiting for permission, waiting for the right moment, the right role, the right opportunity. But leadership doesn't wait. Leadership leads. It steps forward when others hesitate. It builds when others criticize. It serves when others demand. And in doing so, it creates a ripple effect. Because when you choose to lead, you invite others to do the same. You don't need a title to be a leader. You don't need years of experience. You don't need perfection. You just need the willingness to go first, to care deeply, to act boldly. So the real question is not, am I a leader? The real question is, will I choose to lead?